Hey y'all, Danger Mechanic here. Today I wanted to do a brief video showing off some of the features of my newest verified creation, Singularity Sold Series Crimson Fleet Player Home. We'll be using a Toya to walk through and show off some of the key features. She is majorly important to the lore that you will find inside the player home. So with that, let's get started. We're here on the key. Now, this player home will only become available after you have finished the Crimson Fleet questline and, of course, sided with the fleet. You will get the key from Neva, which normally unlocks the vanilla player home. That's all still the same, still in place. Except now, with this mod downloaded, when you go to the player home, you'll get what I cooked up for you all. First thing we see here off to the left is the cooking workbench area and a little bit of set dressing. The player home volume has been extended to be even with that door frame there, so you can decorate what little bit of space there is here. You can throw decorations up out into the hallway, and you get this area right here by the door. So let's continue inside. The first area I want to talk about is, of course, the Armory. These 4 mannequins here are... You can manipulate these 4 mannequins with the decorator that you access, either the decorator panel found here. Let's go ahead and switch to first person, or through the scanner. Now, the reason why I did this is so that you can change the pose or the sex of the mannequin on your own. I could have easily put them on a switch like you find in other player home mods, but that didn't fit with what I personally wanted. I use another creation to do something special with mannequins, so I wanted to be able to use those here, and that's the reason why that feature is the way it is. So like I said, you can manipulate these, delete them, replace them. They're rather easy to replace, and then you can change the pose or the sex of the mannequin. So that's one key feature. And then underneath here you find a handful of storage containers, and those all tie into a system that we'll talk about here just shortly. But that's spacesuit, boost pack, helmet, apparel, weapons, and ammo. And then on the other side of the armor, we have the main weapon rack / display. The top part holds rifles and pistols. The 2 center lower sections hold heavy weapons, and then the 2 outer hold ammo. We're going to continue on into the bedroom. We'll come back to the rest of this in a moment. In the bedroom, it has a bed, decorated. These 3 containers here are infinite storage and are not tied to the system that I mentioned. Like I said, we'll talk about just shortly. And then we have the safe over here in the corner. The safe has some lore in it, has a clue to more lore. The clue applies to this player home. The stash that you will find if you follow that clue is inside the player home, so be sure to look for that, especially if you're a lore junkie. There's a bunch there. One other feature of the safe, well, in this safe area, is that there is actually a weapon display here. It'll display a pistol on the top of the safe and a rifle off to the left side of the safe. So a little bit of immersion, just a neat little feature that I came up with there. Then we're going to continue into the bathroom. The first thing we have is an enhance mirror. This is the base enhance menu. So you don't get as much versatility and options to change, but it also doesn't charge you anything for it. So I felt like that was a fair balance. And this will allow you to change your hair and whatnot. So, pirates, it'd be best for them to change their looks, right? So I wanted to throw that option into the player home. And then below it, we have a functional sink that if you hit that button, it will give you the hydrated buff. So just to drink a water from the sink. I have a toilet here that has an activator that you'll sit down on for my role players who like to go through all of that. And then lastly, in the bathroom, we have the Fountain of Youth, also known as the shower. And when you hit that activator, it will cure all your afflictions and heal your health completely, minus the yellow. That environmental damage is the yellow bar. That still has to be taken away via sleeping. So, which, good thing, you're not too far from the bed. Now we're going to move over here into the tech corner. Probably my favorite place, my favorite spot in the entire player home. There's a lot of functionality here, a lot of things to do. I'm going to show you one of the things that I really liked that I made sure worked because I like immersion and I like to roleplay quite a bit, is that when you sit down here, your character will act like they are typing at the keyboard. So one of the first things we find here is the trader. That is just a very well-stocked vendor with a very Crimson Fleet-centric inventory, a good amount of credits. Sell some things that you can't get normally in the base game. Outfits and a couple weapons that are present in the base game, but normally you can't get more than one of, or you can't get it all. So, like Delgado's outfit, for example. It also buys and sells stolen and contraband items. Next up, we have the Crimson Fleet mission board. Then we have the bounty clearance board. And up here, we have a star map that, will allow you to fast travel from the player home if that's what you choose to do. And then over here, we have the Singularity network. There is a small present in there from Atoya, and a whole bunch of lore to do with Singularity and Atoya herself, and gives you a pretty good taste of where I'm hoping to head forward to with my entire Singularity series of mods. We have Welcome Slate from Atoya, and then lastly we have the Ship Services Terminal. Now, unlike most terminals, this one allows you to repair ship damage. You can access your vehicles, so you can buy or paint your vehicles from here. You can buy ships, and you can, of course, modify your ships. The vendor that controls the inventory in the shipbuilder is fully unlocked, has every keyword for every part in the vanilla game. So those parts you're normally having to fly around to find, no more. Don't have to do that. You can buy them from right here. As long as you have the proper skills, and they're unlocked for you, vanilla. I didn't change any of the requirements for that. So when they unlock in the vanilla game, they will be available here. Of course, you can buy ships. I made sure there was a decent amount of ships available for purchase. I also made sure the vendor had a good amount of credits for you to sell to, so you're not having to fly around from station to station and ship services tech to ship services tech to sell your ships. One of the other features is that this vendor resets every 2 days. So I really kind of closed the gap. Vanilla is normally about a week. I brought it down to 2 days. So that'll help my aspiring pirates build credits faster because you'll be able to sell ships more often. Speaking of selling ships, one of the most costly things in the base game is to register a ship and then sell it. You're not making but about 15% profit. This hacked registration, for any ship that you have set as your home ship that is unregistered, if you hit that button, like I said, set as your home ship, unregistered, and you hit that button, it will register the ship at a very, very discounted rate. But it only applies to this terminal. So you will have to come back to this player home to sell the ships or register the ships that you have acquired while out doing what pirates do. So that covers this corner here. We're going to move on to show you all show you all a couple other little features. This area here is the rest of the workbenches, all 5 of them. Armor, weapon, pharmaceutical, industrial, and your research bench are all located right here. And then As you can tell, there's a couple containers down here, and then a bunch of containers here, and even more over here. Now, why there are so many containers is because of what I consider the main primary feature of the player home. If you go to this box right here, labeled Spoils of War, almost anything you put into this box will transfer and sort itself almost instantly. There are times if you overwhelm it, it will have to work its way through it, and then you get to watch it work, which I think is really neat too. Other times it happens so fast that you don't even know that it happened, minus that everything that was in there is now gone. So say you drop 500 med packs in here. The med packs will be transferred to here. You drop in 500 Boggs Grog. They're going to the rations. So each one of these containers has a filter list, and I did my best to sort those out as best as possible. Trinkets are like your miscellaneous items and your manufactured goods. You've got your gas, liquid, inorganic, and organic storage. For those of you that have watched my stream, you know Aurora is a important part of a Toya's playthrough. So over here, I have separated Aurora provisions, which are the Aurora making materials, and your Aurora stock, which is where your Aurora will be stored separate from your contraband container that's here. And then, like I said, anything you drop in there, well, not anything, most anything you drop in there will be sorted out. So if you drop spacesuits in here, they'll end up over here in the armory area. And then you can remove the weapons and throw them up on the rack if you want. Same for the ammo, or you can just leave them in the box, whatever you want to do. And then one last small feature is this right here, Ship's Hold. For those of you that like to play a deep survivalist style playthrough and have your XP from the gameplay options cranked to max, one of the things you run into sometimes is not having access to, the ship's cargo without going to the ship. I felt like that was counterintuitive in a player home, so I made that available that you could access the ship's cargo without using a menu directly from the player home. So as soon as you hit that, there we go. Opens the ship's cargo. So you can take whatever you got in your ship's cargo, you can throw it up into this box, and then it sorts out. Like I said, it doesn't sort everything, but most things. Some of the notables that it doesn't sort are ship parts, digipicks, books and magazines, and Astra. There might be a couple other things, but like I said, sorts most of it. Anyways, that's just a brief overview of my newest verified creation, the Singularity Sold Series Crimson Fleet Player Home. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I have 2 different ways to contact me listed on the mod listing. One is the Singularity Mission Control Discord, and the other is the Dark Star Headquarters Discord. If you have any issues, have any problems, want to ask questions, you can find me on either one of those, and I will help you as much as I can. But that sums up everything I wanted to cover today. Hopefully you all enjoy this player home as much as I do, and as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you all. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you out in the starfield.